Hey, what's going on, Patersonians? I'm back at it again. Today we're going to be talking about Paterson's debt crisis. Once upon a time, I used to be a liberal Democrat. I think it was because I went to this brainwashing camp called college, where you go in there and they brainwash you to think like a liberal. I am no longer a liberal Democrat. Now I'm a moderate independent. I actually went to those Occupy Wall Street protests a few times back in the day. That's how much of a liberal I was. I always associated liberalism with liberty. Hey, do what you want, liberty for all. That sounds great. But liberalism is actually a sinister form of communism. It's a sinister form of socialism. That's what I realized. But I'm going to save that for another video. Today I want to talk about Paterson, New Jersey, and we're going to talk about Paterson, New Jersey's debt. Taking a little bit from the rich and giving to the poor. And I was like, you know what, that philosophy isn't so bad. The poor are poor and they're needy and they could use it, and the rich have extra to spare to give away. And I think that's a great concept. Let me show you what's really going on. There are no rich people that live in Paterson. So there's no rich to steal from to give to the poor. There's middle class and down. So when you got a situation like that, do you take from the middle class and give to the poor? I guess you can argue that you could do that, but that's not what's happening. This is what's happening. 29% poverty rate going on in Paterson. That's really high. 25% of the residents are homeowners and 75% are renters. If you ask the 25% that are homeowners, what's the most important thing to you when it comes to this election, they all say taxes are too high. If you ask the renters are more concerned with better streets, less potholes, more schools, more police, more firefighters, just more things. The renters have less of a stake in the city. They could leave the city at any time. The homeowners, on the other hand, they have a property there, they have a vested interest, and they pay taxes. And their voice is not being heard. The renters are the majority and the homeowners are the minority. The politicians have been promising lower taxes for homeowners, and that hasn't been happening. It's been steadily going up every year nonstop. It's just a steady move upward. And the renters want more stuff, and they haven't been getting the stuff. Our streets aren't safer. Our potholes are still there. The snowplows don't come through. These renters are not getting what they're promised either. So both homeowners and renters are not getting what they're promised. And let me explain to you why. See, the Democrats want to say that they are taking from the rich and they're giving to the poor, which is a noble thing to do. I don't agree with it 100%, but it's a noble philosophy, but in real life that doesn't happen. You know what happens is the tax money comes in. That money is supposed to be used to make Paterson better. But then the Democrats, once they get that money, they start squandering it on things. First of all, they have to take care of all their campaign contributors, who are the business owners, slumlords, investors in Paterson, who are non-residents. These people here are non-residents, but they contribute to Democratic campaigns. So they're buying your politicians. So when these politicians come into office and they start getting this tax money coming in, they have to first take care of these guys. With their tax abatements, no-bid contracts, they're making deals with their campaign contributors. They're hooking them up. On the other hand, they also have to take care of the labor unions, the labor union contracts, the city employees, fire, teachers, police. And what they do with them is they hook them up with really sweetheart deals. They have to hook them up because these people are also supporters and they're people who work for the city. And ironically, most of these people don't live in the city either. The government then makes these really poorly negotiated contracts, hooking them up with really good deals and really good pension plans and basically setting them up for life. This government keeps getting bigger and bigger. It becomes like this big monster. Like most of it, the majority of the money gets caught up here in all these labor union contracts with the DPW, the police, fire, city employees, and also the hookups for the investors, slumlords, business owners, and campaign contributors. None of it is coming down to the residents. So the homeowners and the renters are not getting what they want. The renters are getting a dangerous city to live in. They're getting crappy schools. They're getting potholes in the streets. They're getting garbage all over the place. And the homeowners are getting their taxes increased. So much, this thing is so big that the city's spending is actually deficit spending. What that means is they're spending more on this crap than tax money that's coming in. And what's happening is the tax base, these homeowners, they're fed up. A lot of these homeowners are abandoning their houses because they can't take it anymore. They can't take the crime, they can't take the taxes, they can't take the payments, they can't take their mortgage. The mortgages are underwater. These homeowners are starting to leave. So you're getting abandoned houses because every time there's an abandoned house, the tax base starts getting smaller. So you would think because the tax base is shrinking, the government would spend less. But instead of spending less, they're spending more. And what they're doing is they're taking out loans now. Where they're taking out big chunks of loans and they're issuing bonds. And you know who's co-signing for those bonds? The homeowners, the taxpayers. The taxpayers are on the hook for these bonds. A bond is basically just a loan. It's a promise to pay back money with interest. That's all. Basically a bond is a loan. And the people backing those bonds are the taxpayers. And the taxpayer base is dropping. The bond rating, Moody's bond rating for Paterson bonds are actually going down. So that the credit rating is going down. They continue to hook up their friends. They continue to hook up their fellow employees with ridiculous contracts. Every decade or so, we have a different set of politicians coming in, making these crappy deals, making these crazy labor union contracts where the city's obligated to pay millions upon millions to somebody after they retire. These politicians from back in the day that made these labor union contracts, a lot of them are not even in the city anymore. So basically everybody that comes in to office milks Paterson for whatever they can, and then they take off to like Florida where they're sitting under a palm tree drinking out of a coconut, and they leave this mess called Paterson. Paterson's debt is $140 million. The taxpayers are on the hook for that $140 million in debt. The renters, they are the voting base. They're getting a crappy city too. They're getting a raw deal. But they can leave whenever they want. They don't have the vested interest in the city like homeowners do. This is how the Democrats work. You would think, you know, philosophically they're like, all right, we're taking from the rich and we're giving to the poor. But what's really happening is they're taking from the middle class. They're hooking up their rich investor friends. They're hooking up their fellow friends in the unions with sweetheart deals, and none of it is really coming down to the city, and none of it is helping the poverty rate. None of it's helping the poor. Basically, there's a huge, gluttonous, disgusting party of greed. Everybody's getting hooked up except the residents. The residents are getting nothing. The residents are not invited. Just like when these politicians have those $200 a plate fundraising dinners. They don't want you at those parties, those fundraising parties, those fundraising dinners, the $250, $300 a plate parties. You think the politicians want you there? Ha! They want people that are gonna give them money there. They don't care about you, man. These politicians, they don't care about you. The Democrats, the liberals are running amok in Paterson. They have a complete monopoly on the government. The entire city council, business administrator Nellie Poe, they're all Democrats. They're all in the same party. They all have the same philosophy. They're all just greedy, thieving criminals. Let's just say it the way it is. When you go into the voting booth, this is what you're gonna see. Salig, Democrat. McCoy, Democrat. Mendez, Democrat. Rodriguez, Democrat. Jackson, Democrat. They're all Democrats. When these candidates say they're gonna change the way things are they really going to change the way things are? When you go to vote in May, this is what you're going to see. You got a choice between a Democrat, a Democrat, a Democrat, a Democrat, and a Democrat, all liberals. There's a monopoly going on. This is scary. Even if you're a card-carrying Democrat, this has to bother you and scare you. The amount of power that the Democrats have in Paterson and what they're doing with that power, running the city to the ground. Politicians just coming in and just running a train on Paterson. That's right, I said it. They're running a train on Paterson. I've been around Paterson for long enough to know that all the promises that they make is all phony baloney. They're not going to lower your taxes. They're not going to make things better. And especially now, with the debt crisis that's going on, it's really scary because Paterson's bonds have been downgraded. A lot of investors don't even want Paterson bonds. So what's going to happen is Paterson is going to lose its ability to get loans. And once it does that, that's the death spiral right there. That's when things are really going to have to get cut. And what's going to get cut, the teachers, police, firefighters, DPW, they're all going to get cut first. So you got a choice between Sally, a Democrat, McCoy, a Democrat, Mendez, Democrat, Rodriguez, Democrat, Jackson, Democrat. That's like walking into Baskin Robbins and being told you could have any flavor as long as it's vanilla. Or I should say, it's like walking into Guernsey and Crest. That's right, support local businesses. Guernsey and Crest, 19th Ave in Paterson. Get me on the ballot. We need one more person on that ballot. Independent, moderate. So I need to get on the ballot. Please sign my petitions. It's very important that you sign them. The deadline is coming up. The deadline is in March. So there's only a few weeks for me to get these petitions signed. We need a grassroots movement, Paterson. We need you to mobilize and actually get involved because this is a very important election coming up. And we have nobody qualified, nobody with the integrity, nobody that can be our mayor based on these candidates. I can be your mayor. I will do a fantastic job from you. I won't steal from you. But you can't vote for me unless I get on that ballot. So sign my petitions, please. Help me help you, Paterson. Help me help you. That's all I ask. Thank you for watching. Please sign my petitions. I'll talk to you later.